Здравствуйте. Hi. My name is Gray, and today we're going to learn the Russian alphabet. The Russian alphabet was first invented in the 9th century AD by Saint Cyril and Saint Methodius, which is why it's called the Cyrillic alphabet. It has 33 letters, and it's based on the Greek alphabet, so you might see some similarities if you've ever studied maths, physics, or Greek. Today I'm going to teach you the Russian alphabet using a fun method where you create associations between the Russian letters and letters you might already know, pictures, or fun ideas. Let's try it. I've broken the alphabet into different sections that'll make it easier to learn. So the first section is made up of 5 letters that are pretty much the same as the English letters. Those 5 letters are A, M, K, O, T. Let's start with A. A is pronounced like A in bar. A. It's a very open A sound. So be careful that you don't pronounce it like A, like in back, for example. It's a much more open sound. A. The next letter is M, just like the English letter M, as in mom. M. The next letter is K, and it's a hard K sound, like in back or car. K. The next letter is O. O. It's a very rounded O sound, like you have to really make an O with your mouth. O. It's like in store. O. The next letter is T. T. And it's just like the English T. It makes a T sound. T. Now that you've learned these first 5 letters, you're actually ready to read some Russian. Let's try it out. First, I'll put some words on the screen, and I'll give you a second to try to work out how you would pronounce them, and then I'll tell you the proper pronunciation. First, we have this word. How would you pronounce that? That's right. Tom. Tom. And Tom is the name Tom. Tom. Remember to watch your pronunciation of the O, however. In English, it's pronounced more like an A sound, Tom. But in Russian, Tom. Tom. Let's try the next word here. How would you pronounce this? That's right. Kot. Kot. Kot means cat. Kot. How would you pronounce this word? Mat. Mat. And one last one. Try this word. Now, this one's a little bit tricky because one thing I didn't mention about the O is sometimes the O can be pronounced like an A if it's in the unstressed position. What does that mean? Well, this word would be pronounced katomka. Katomka. And notice how the first O is pronounced more like an A sound. Katomka. And the second O is pronounced more like how we learned it. O. Katomka. Katomka. The reason for that is the first O is not stressed. The stress of the word is on the second O. So, katomka. Katomka. Word stress can be a little bit difficult for first-time learners to understand. I like to explain it this way. In English, when we want to emphasize a certain word, we emphasize the stress of that word. So for example, if you wanted to say, he destroyed my sandcastle, and you really want to emphasize that he destroyed it, you're going to say, he destroyed my sandcastle. So the emphasis is on destroy, because the stress of destroy is on the oi, destroy. If it changed, like if it was on the the first E sound in destroy, it would be more like destroy, destroy. And that doesn't sound quite right. Just like in English, different words have different stress. Same in Russian. So katomka isn't kotomka, it's katomka. It's on the O. If this is difficult to understand, don't worry. We're going to cover this as we go on with these lessons. But for now, just understand that sometimes the o can be like an ah sound if it's in the part of the word that is not stressed. Katomka. Now we're going to move on to the letters that are slightly different, if not completely different, from the English letters. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to try to teach you fun associations and things to help you remember how the letters are pronounced. Now, the associations that I'm giving you might not be the ones that work best for you, and that's absolutely fine. I would encourage you to create your own associations and things that help you remember them. The weirder the better, honestly. Let's try this out. Here they are here. So, the first one, it looks like an E. In Russian, it's pronounced ye. Ye. How I like to imagine this is it's almost like an E, but there's a little secret Y just before it. Ye. Ye. The next letter is like this. It looks like a ye, but it's got two little dots over it. It's pronounced yo. And how I like to imagine it is these two little dots are like two eyes of a person, and it's somebody waving and saying, yo, how are you doing? So, yo. Yo. Here's the next letter. It's pronounced S. S. Now, I know it looks like a C, but imagine that it's like the C in sincere, and it's pronounced with a S sound. S. Alternatively, you could think of it as a sideways smile with this S sound, smile. The next letter is U. U. It looks like a Y, but pronounced with an oo sound. One way you could try to remember this is it's like a pencil drawing a straight line and then it makes a mistake and the person says, oops, oops, ooh. Okay, I know it's not the best way to memorize this, and maybe it doesn't work for you, but that's absolutely fine, because what I'm going to encourage you to do is find your own ways to memorize these letters. Try creating your own association. That's the most important thing. Okay, now with the new letters we've learned, let's try forming some new words. The first one is this. How would you pronounce that? Sauce. And sauce means sauce. Sauce. Let's try the next one. Major. Major. And watch here, or, again it's pronounced like an a. Major. And at the end we have this yo sound. Major means my. Let's try the next word. Most. Most. Most means bridge. And the next one? Utka. Utka. Utka means duck. Utka. Let's try one more. Text. Text. Text means text. And again, watch your pronunciation of ye. It's text, not text. Text. And there's a y sound. Text. Here's the next section of letters. The first letter is de. De. It's like a D sound in English, and to me it looks kind of like an English D. But if you want a more memorable way to remember this one, try imagining it as a dome. D, dome. And actually, in Russian, the word dom means house. So it's almost like a roof of a house. Dom. D. The next letter is G. G. And it's like an English G sound. But be careful, it's only ever like the G sound in the name gray, for example. It's never like a G sound as in giraffe. It's always a G sound. So, G. Okay, the way I remember this one is a little bit weird. But I want to try to demonstrate how if you create an association that's shocking or strange, it'll help you to remember that letter, and I promise you won't forget this one. So the way I remember G is it looks like a gallows. Okay, that's a bit weird, but I bet you won't forget how to pronounce G ever again, as in G in gallows. G. Okay, the next one is P. P. P as in the English P sound, as in pet. The way I remember this one is it looks just like the Greek pi symbol, and everyone knows pi. So, B. Okay, we've learned some more letters. Let's try reading some more words. How about this one? This might be one of the Russian words you actually already know. It's pronounced da, da. And da means yes, da. How about this one? Soup. And soup means soup. See? Russian's not so hard. Okay, one more. How about this one? This one's pronounced gost. Gost. And gost means guest. Let's move on to the next set of letters. Here are the letters here. The first one was pronounced B. B, as in bed. B. It's like the English B. It looks a bit like the English B. And the way I remember this is it's like a B that's been bent. B. A B that's been bent. B. The next one is Z. Z. Z is pronounced like the English Z sound. Z. Z. The way I remember this one is that it simply looks like the cursive Z. So if you know cursive, you'll remember this one easily. Another way you can remember it is like saying Z and 3 rhyme. Z. And therefore you've got Z. Okay, the next letter is Ch. Ch. This letter is a little bit difficult to pronounce because we don't really have a sound like this in English. The closest we have is like the Ch sound at the end of loch. Loch. But it's similar to having a H sound like an H, but putting it more in the back of your throat and creating some tension there, like Ch. Ch. It's a difficult sound to make at first, but just try it and with practice you'll get better. The way I remember this one is that I imagine it's almost like a K and an H together. So like K and H said at the same time. Ch, ch. And this X actually kind of looks like a K and an H superimposed over one another to create a ch sound. Again, it's kind of difficult with this one, and I would encourage you to create your own associations if you have any. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next letter is one of the most quintessential Russian letters. It's quite difficult to pronounce and looks quite strange too, because it almost looks like two letters, but it really is just one. The pronunciation of this is U. It's similar to the pronunciation in the word bit, the I in bit, but a little bit more lower down in your gut, as if you're getting punched in the gut. And actually, that's how I remember this one. It kind of, to me, looks like somebody speaking to somebody else and at the same time taking their fist and punching themselves in the gut, like, and saying, Okay, let's try pronouncing some more words. How about this one? This is pronounced sabaka. Sabaka. Again, watch that the first O is more like an A sound because it's not stressed. Sabaka. Sabaka means dog. Sabaka. How about this one? Gaz. Gaz. Gaz means gas. Gaz. How about this one? I'll give you a hint. It's the name of a famous composer. That's right, it's Bach. 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 In German, interestingly, this would be also pronounced Bach. Bach. Because the CH in German has a H sound. Same with the Russian, H. Bach. Okay, let's try one more. Gazeta. Gazeta. Gazeta means newspaper. Gazeta. Okay, last one. That's right. Gazete. Gazete. And watch, at the end of the word, it's an sound. Gazete. Gazete means newspapers. Gazete. Okay, the next set is what I would call some false friends. Meaning they look just like English letters, but they're pronounced completely differently. The first letter is V. V. And it's pronounced like a V in English, as in very. V. The way I like to remember this one is I kind of imagine a little V in the indent between the top and the bottom of this letter. So it's like V. V. It's somehow inside of the letter. V. Okay, the next one is N. N. I know it looks like an H, but it's pronounced like an N, as in never. N. N. The way I like to remember this one is it's almost like an N, but the little bit in the middle has kind of slowly been turned sideways until it's somehow going straight across. So it's N. N. Okay, the last one is R. R. This letter is a little bit different than the English R because it's rolled, similar to how you roll your R's in Spanish, for example. R. R. If you struggle with this sound, one way to get around it is you can try to say like a D sound where you're almost tapping your tongue against the roof of your mouth. R, 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 like that. And the way I like to remember this is it's almost like an R that's capital, but it's lost its leg. So R, or like a lowercase r that's rolled around so that it's connected to the bottom and it's become this symbol, R, R. Okay, let's try some words. The first one is this. This was pronounced нет, нет. It means no. How about this one? This is pronounced mitro, mitro. Watch your R as a rolled R, mitro. If you can't make a rolled R, try saying it like a D, mitro, mitro. Mitro means metro. How about this one? Sistra, sistra. Sistra means sister, sistra. And watch your stress. It's not siestra, but it's sistra. And the emphasis is on the very last syllable of the word, sistra. Let's try this one. Charakter, charakter. Charakter means character. And watch that at the beginning it's a ch sound, charakter. If the word feels a little bit long to pronounce, one trick you can use is start by pronouncing the last syllable of the word and then slowly working your way back to front. So start with der, rakter, rakter, charakter, charakter. And then you have the word. Okay, let's try one more. Zavut, zavut. Zavut means they call. Zavut. You'll hear this word in the phrase Меня зовут Грей. Меня зовут Грей means me, they call Gray. My name is Gray. Zavut. Okay, let's try the next set. So the first one is pronounced E. E. E as in me. E. The way I remember this one is by imagining somebody going down the slope of the E and going wee as if it's a slide. So the E sound. E. The next one looks almost exactly the same, except it's got this little line over it, and it's actually pronounced the same. E. The difference is that the E with this line over it, which is called I kratkeye, is used when making diphthongs, meaning things like oi or I, where two vowels are together. So oi, I are going to have the E with this little symbol over it. But it's pronounced the same. E. The next letter is L. L. Like in the English, long. L. The way I remember this one is it looks like a capital L that's been like flipped around and a lowercase l right next to each other and kind of connected together. L. And the last one is F. F. F as in fun. And the way I remember this one is imagining a hot air balloon floating through the sky. And it kind of looks like a hot air balloon. Okay, let's try this word. Okay, I know it's a bit long, but just try to work through it letter by letter. Biblioteca. Biblioteca. Biblioteca means library. Biblioteca. How about this one? Foto. Foto. Foto means photo. Foto. Okay, let's try this one. Futbolka. Futbolka. Futbolka means t-shirt. Futbolka. How about this one? Лет. Лет means summers. Лет. How about this one? Tolstoy. Tolstoy. Any guesses? That's right, it's Tolstoy. Tolstoy. And watch your stress, because in Russian, the stress is at the end. Tolstoy. Tolstoy. And the last one? Привет. Привет means hi. Привет. Okay, let's learn the next set. The first one is pronounced je. Je. And it's like a ZH put together to make a j sound. Je. The way I like to imagine it is like there's a Z and an H superimposed over each other to make a j. So je. The next one is ts. It's like a T and an S put together. Ts, as in rats. The T and the S in rats. The way I like to remember this is imagining it's a little rat with a tail. So rats have tails. Ts. The next one is e. Don't get this mixed up with the ye we saw before. This one looks a bit different, and it doesn't have the y sound at the beginning. It's just e. Like in better. E. And the way I remember this is it kind of looks like an E. And the last one is ya. Ya. And the way I like to remember this is imagining as if the letter is doing karate and it's kicking its opponent away going hi-ya. Okay, it's a little bit ridiculous, but again, hopefully it helps you memorize it. Okay, let's practice some more words. How about this one? Garage. Garage. Garage means garage. How about this one? Cent. Cent. Cent means cent. Cent. And this one? Economica. Economica. Economica, economics. How about this one? Biblia. Biblia. Biblia, Bible. Biblia. And this one? Francia. Francia. Francia means France. Francia. And lastly, that's right, Россия. Россия. Россия means Russia. Россия. Okay, let's try the next group. The first one is pronounced che. Che. As in watch. Che. Like a CH sound. And the way that I remember this one is imagining an H upside down and a little C resting in the groove above it. So it's ch. Che. The next one is sh. Sh. Sh as in wash. Sh. It's like SH in English. And the way I remember this one is it kind of looks like somebody's putting their finger to their mouth and saying shh. So sh. The next one looks almost exactly the same, but it's pronounced sh. Sh. As if you have an SH and a CH mashed together. Sh. Sh. The way I like to remember this one is it's like the sh, but you've got a little CH at the corner hanging off. So sh. Sh. And the last one is you. You. As in you rather than me. You. You. And the way that I remember this is like those old posters of Uncle Sam saying, I want you. And the little O is like his finger. You. You. Okay, let's try some more words. How about this one? Chai. Chai. Chai means tea. Chai. And the next one? Menu. Menu. Menu means menu. Menu. And the next one? Shock. Shock. Shock like, I'm shocked. Shock. How about this one? Borscht. Borscht? Borscht. Borscht is like borscht soup. Beetroot soup. Borscht. And lastly, Humor. Humor. As in humor. Humor. Okay, so we've only got 2 letters remaining, but these 2 letters are a little bit different than the other ones. In fact, they don't have any sound at all, and instead, they tell you what the sound of the letter before means. I'll talk a bit more about this in a different video, but I just want you to get the basic idea of it first. So here they are here. The first one is called the soft sign, and the second one is called the hard sign. The way I like to remember this is as if each one is a little sign with an arrow pointing back to the letter before, and it's telling you something about what that letter sounds like. The first one I imagine is soft because when the arrow comes and hits the letter before it, the line straight up and down, the line doesn't move. But the second one is hard because when the arrow comes and hits the line before it, it bends that way. So that's the hard sign. That might help you distinguish between the two. But what do these signs actually do? Well, the soft sign makes the letter before it soft. What does that mean? In Russian, each consonant has a soft pronunciation and a hard pronunciation. So for example, we learned the letter L. An L, we learned, is pronounced like a L sound, as in love, L. And it's almost like an L in the back of the throat, love. But it can also be pronounced forward in the mouth, like L. This is a difficult part of Russian pronunciation, and it's going to take you some time to learn it. So don't worry if you don't have it just yet. But let me give you some examples so I can show you the difference in pronunciation. The first one is this word, football, football. And notice at the end of the word, the L sound is like ul in the back of the throat, football, football. Now let's look at this word, ruble, ruble. Notice the soft sign at the end, which tells us that the L before is soft, meaning it's pronounced more at the front of the mouth, like an L sound, ruble, as opposed to football. Ruble, football. Again, you might not hear the difference so strongly yet, but with time you'll be able to distinguish them. Let's try another one. We already learned the letter R. Let's see how they're pronounced differently when they're soft or a hard pronunciation. The first word is center, center. And you'll notice the R at the end really rolls, center. But this next word is tsar, tsar. And you'll notice that the R at the end really is almost like just a tap. Tsar, tsar. And it's a little bit more breathy. Center, tsar. And that's the difference between the first one, which is the hard pronunciation, center, and the second one, which is a soft pronunciation, tsar. The next one we're going to look at is the hard sign. The hard sign is much more rare than the soft sign, so don't worry too much about it. And all it tells you is the letter before is going to be pronounced with a hard pronunciation. For example, we have object, object. And the B sound is a really hard B, object, object. If we took it out, it would be pronounced something like object, object. And the B almost gets lost because it's like a very light sound, object. Object. And that's because the Y has this Y sound that makes it really difficult to pronounce a hard B. Object is much harder to pronounce than object. Again, if you can't tell the difference between these, don't worry too much. It'll come with time. Okay, let's review all the letters in the order that they would usually be shown. A, B, V, G, D, J, J, Ž, Z, I краткое, K, L, M, N, O, P, R, S, T, U, F, H, C, Č, Š, Š, tvrdi znak, м'який знак, U, Ya. So now you know all the letters of the Russian alphabet, and you've even learned how to read some words. Learning a new alphabet can be really daunting, but with time and practice, you'll get better and better. A lot of people think that the Russian alphabet is one of the hardest things to learn about Russian, But once they try to actually learn it, they realize that is definitely not the hardest part of the language, and they usually get used to it within a matter of weeks. So just keep practicing, and you'll be reading Russian in no time. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next lesson. До свидания.